the pre-K through 8 school building committee is in session, 6:39 p.m. So to get started on this, I wanted to have just a quick open meeting law discussion. I would do introductions and all, but a lot of us somewhat were at the same meeting together when we all kind of had a chance to talk. So I think we can circle back to that in a little bit for Beth's time, so that way we can move through the agenda. But I wanted to have a quick open meeting law discussion just for those that are new to it. All the documents we're going to be working on are all public already. So we're getting into the discussion of how we do this later, about how do we share or what do we do. I have some thoughts about how we can work on this collaboratively and not have somebody have to do a data dump every pre-meeting to consolidate everybody's efforts. But in general, I just wanted to say, like, let's not share any opinions within email. Make sure we stick with that to be only organizing meeting dates and things of that nature, like, granular admin tasks, not so much any kind of working session thoughts or anything there. So that was the one thing. We will be getting a lot of information we will be hearing from the public. We will be getting information of people's opinions and whatnot. The charge of this committee is to do a research effort. It's not to really bring a lot of opinions that aren't backed by other facts. So as we go through this, just keep that in mind, that that's our primary goal, is to consolidate information, to put it into the spreadsheet, and to be able to actually bring that forward. So I wanted to just reiterate that today. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add about, open meeting law or anything like that at this point. Okay, moving along. Organization of the committee. So we need to pick a chair, pick a vice chair, and we have to do minutes as well. So I don't know if anybody would like to make nominations for any of those positions. You're on mute, Howard.
I would like to nominate Tim Fling for chair.
Second.
I don't know if I should be the chair, being the select board rep. I think that it might be better with somebody else doing that. So that way we don't have it seem like the select board's driving this from a public perspective.
Okay.
I'll nominate Howard Anderson.
No, thank you.
It was a nice try, though, Howard.
I'll nominate Beth.
I'll second it.
Who nominated me?
I did.
Gene.
Thanks, Gene.
I don't know why it didn't come through.
Well, that one's been seconded. So if there's any other nominations for chair, we could take a vote. So Mark, we have to do roll call votes, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Gene, you're in my upper left.
Okay. Yes.
I'm second, so I'm a yes. Who are our voting members? I can't remember everybody. Beth, you're next on my screen.
I'll say yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Kelly? You're on mute, Kelly.
Yes.
Who else is voting? I think Laura, you're voting, I believe.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Is that everybody that's voting?
Steve Holland is voting.
Oh, sorry, I'm out of there we go. Somebody needs to come over. Eric is coming over.
Hello?
Yep. Eric, you're here now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into the meeting environment, and I agree it was really hard to find, so I guess I'll just listen in, but I don't know, I assume I'm not getting video projection at this point.
But you are voting. So
That's an aye.
that's a yes. Who else am I missing here?
Did Steve Holland vote?
I did not. I will vote yes.
Okay, so I believe it's unanimous then. Did I miss anybody? Sorry, guys, I'm still new at this.
Okay.
Okay, so I believe it's unanimous. Beth, congrats.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
You're the chair.
I've always dreamed of this moment.
Okay, so now we need a vice chair. Any nominations for vice chair?
How about Vice Chair Howard?
Oh, okay.
I nominate Howard.
Second.
Okay, that one's been seconded. Anybody else for nominations? Okay, seeing none. Jean,
Yes.
Sorry, can I also nominate someone?
yes.
I'd like to nominate Kelly Conklin.
Second.
That's been seconded. Kelly, would you like to possibly do this?
I don't really know what it entails, so I feel like Howard might be the better choice right now. This is my first committee, so I don't quite know what that means.
So the chair will set the agenda and will, in general, run the meetings. If the chair would not be able to make it, then you'd fill in for the meetings there. And you can choose to work with the chair as much or as little, I believe, as you would like on what the agenda and stuff would be. But generally speaking, it's the chair sets the meeting, so it's kind of just how it goes.
Howard, I think you would be the best fit.
So we have Howard's been we have 2 seconds. Mark, how does it work right now with 2 seconds? Do we vote for each person? Or since Kelly says she'd rather not do it, do we?
Probably be cleaner if Kelly declines the nomination. Otherwise you can take up Howard. Howard was first and you could take his up, and if it fails, then you can go on to Kelly.
Okay.
I decline the nomination, but thank you.
Okay. So if there's no other nominations, then we can go ahead and proceed with the vote. So Jean,
Yes.
for Howard's nomination. Tim's a yes. Steve?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
Howard?
I can't vote for myself, can I?
Yes, you can.
Okay, yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
And Eric?
Yes.
I don't believe I missed anybody. So if I did, I apologize. Okay, so we now have a chair and a vice chair. Now we need to have, we can decide on how we want to do this. We need to have minutes for each meeting. So does anybody want to volunteer to handle that? Or do we want to appoint somebody at the beginning of each meeting and kind of pass this along? Share the burden? Anybody have thoughts here?
So Tim, I may ask, is there a way to use technology to facilitate this through the recording and then just translation? I mean, the tools are so ubiquitous, or do we have to do it through manual handwritten process?
We can definitely use tools here. So it's not the best, but YouTube will end up doing a transcript about a day or 24 hours after the meeting. You can take that and you could plop that into some kind of AI and say, consolidate this into minutes. It'll get us pretty close. And then it was probably just a matter of reading through it to see how good we are. But I'm for that. There's other tools we could use, like Firefly.ai or some other program could record the whole thing, could generate an executive summary and minutes as well from that, or notes from that, and we could turn that into minutes.
I gotta believe Zoom has something built in, yeah?
I don't know for sure, but I would have to imagine it has something.
They do. They give you
we're
the option,
recording now.
they give you the option when you close the meeting, do you want AI to summarize it?
If the town has it set up that way, I'm not positive that we could,
Okay,
but it might be, if it is there, then yeah, there should be something. It shouldn't be a huge effort necessarily.
Did the building, Neary Building Committee have a set clerk?
Don't know the answer to that.
Mark, do you know?
No, we didn't. But we did,
So-
we did have someone in the school administration who,
We did.
managed,
Yeah, we did
managed-
have an admin assistant who did do the minutes,
Yep.
but that person's not available to do this.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that we should probably just appoint somebody at the beginning of each meeting then, and then we'll have somebody handle the minutes per meeting. So that way no one person has to take it on for all of our meetings. Anybody want to volunteer for this one?
I will.
That was Kelly.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, I don't think we need to vote on that one. So Kelly, we're just have you handle the minutes after. When you're done, you can if you want a first pass, you can set it to Mark or I, happy to take and help you out on this one, and then we can share with everybody after that to review them for the next meeting.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, so now that we have ourselves organized, now we can jump right into the charge. So as everybody obviously has read the charge, I don't think we need to spend a ton of time going through the details of it now unless people have questions about it. But at the end of the day, we're filling in a matrix. We are populating as much information as possible into that, and we're trying to have everything factually based around something. Either there's columns within there that aren't in previous data sets that the NBC populated. So if it comes from somewhere, it just has to have a source, and we just want to make sure that everything's factual and our opinions kind of stay out of it. Our expertise is involved, but our opinions are kind of on the side. So I don't. Mark, go ahead.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, excuse me. Is it possible to add one more item to the list? Or discuss it
For the meeting or for the matrix?
for the matrix?
Yeah, the matrix is there's criteria within the matrix that we will need to fill in. That's kind of like where it starts, but we can definitely add to it as we find relevant information that needs to be captured within that document.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about the A through G list.
Yeah, A through G, if there's more options, then it's we're fully within our rights to add more viable options, to that.
Okay. Can I propose one, or is it too early?
We can. I would say it's probably a little bit early to add to it right now. Let's
Okay.
wait a little bit later, but we can definitely add to it.
That's fine.
Mark?
yeah, was there a packet for this meeting?
There wasn't a packet. There is Jay Montillo was sending out a data dump of what NBC, kind of like their final documents. So there is a OneDrive that will be sent to everybody with the documents that Mark, that committee left with. And it should be near the final points as they went through each phase. And all of that should be in a OneDrive folder that everybody will get an email link to.
Okay, I guess my quick question is, I'm working off of a charge that still has the August 31st date. And I haven't found it in the selectmen minutes yet. Can you get us a revised charge with the amendment that was made, so that we're all working off the same sheet of music?
Yeah, Mark, it's a question for that department. Has the website been updated to reflect that change?
I don't think so. Last time I looked, which was yesterday.
The
I'm
document
looking
in
at it right
OneDrive
now online, and it's still the August 31st charge.
We'll make sure that's updated.
Yeah, Yeah, as of yesterday, it still had Jason as the chair.
Okay, so we'll get that corrected after this.
I do have a question regarding your data dump. There, and it was going to come up when we discussed the remaining budget. There is still a nearybuilding.com site. And if he's taking all the data off of that site, that site's still up and operational. I don't think anyone has taken it down, and in fact, I would not advise anyone do take it down. There may be a recurring charge, and I don't know where that fits into any budget, but there's a ton of information there, and we also may want to utilize that site to open up a whole set of windows of what we're doing and populate that with the matrix as we're developing it. It's out there. You can easily access it. Just somebody has to manage the data that's on it. And all the old data is legitimate data. It's all the old reports. It's all cost information. There's a ton of material there that just should not be lost.
Yeah, the information there, I agree that I don't think we're taking it down or doing anything of that nature with it anytime soon. I don't know what level of dormancy it will go into right now, but I do think that part of what we need to figure out is how do we keep what we're doing available so that way people can see it as we move along and keep it easy to read in between meetings. But I asked the select board, the department, to help take all that documents and bring them down so that way they can be accessed easier than clicking through pages and pages of website. So right now, all of that information, at least what seems to be all of it, I'm not saying that everything was gotten, there was a lot of information there. So there could be documents missing that we need to add. But all that information has been organized into a folder structure that we can now navigate and access a little bit more easily at the same time. So that has happened. Everybody should be getting a link to that in their town email. So I'm not sure if that went out, but I asked for it to go out at 6 p.m. today. So hopefully it has gone out. If not, we'll get that to everybody imminently.
It did get out.
It did?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So yeah, there was a lot of information there. I went through it first because there was a couple duplicates within there. So I tried to kind of clean it up the best I could, but it was a quick pass. So there's definitely more work to do there to organize it as we try to use it going forward. But we have all that information to start. So that kind of leads us right into, we're at the right point where has anybody had a chance to start looking at it yet? I know you just got it, but I don't know if anybody had any questions on the immediate first pass of getting the link.
Well, there were two different emails. One was PreK and one was the Neary Building Committee. The PreK, there were two different sets of documents, and I could open the first one, but I couldn't open the second. But I guess I can talk to Mr. Montiel about that.
Yeah, so I'll share my screen real quick. This is what I see anyway. So let me pull this up 1 second here. So this is what I see in the folder.
Right.
So if you click on this folder, for us to navigate, the one in red is kind of the data dump. So that's just all the documents just laid in there in a secondary folder in there. Some of these were duplicates, so I tried my best to kind of go through them, and that's what you see in the PK8 committee project. So this is an attempt at taking everything that was in the data dump, putting it in the buckets of areas that kind of make sense to what they are so you can find it a little bit easier. And put the charge and some of the stuff we're going to be working from at the very top.
Okay.
So that was kind of the start of it. We might need more folders. We might need to move documents that got moved in the wrong spot, but at least we're starting with something to go off of versus just everything dumped into one folder. And then in here, what we're going to spend most of our time on is this comparison matrix. So this is where the V3, the latest version of the matrix, is sitting. And this will be a live document. So I can see Howard already did a modification to it 35 minutes ago. This is the way that I think it's best, so we don't have to have somebody spend a lot of time consolidating information between meetings. We'll be able to work right off of this live document, which is on the web. We all have access through our town emails, and then we can start to go through this. And I would just ask that as you work in here, you be very mindful of the fact that you're editing live data. So if you delete something, you're deleting it from everybody, not just from your version. So as you work in here, just keep that in mind. If you have any questions about how this functions or how a cloud-based shared document functions, I had Jay send out 2 links. I sent those earlier today. So you can watch those 2 videos, the tutorials of how this kind of works in the background if you have any questions. And he's available if you have more questions about it.
Okay.
So leading from the documents that we have there, I think this is a great time for Greg or Mark or anybody that has some historical information, if there's any starting points within those documents that you think we should maybe consider as the gold standard to use as our first point of reference.
Tim, we didn't receive the documents ahead of time, so we haven't had a chance to review. So
okay,
if we can be sent those, that'd be great.
Yep.
I know that you had sent me a request yesterday about accessing some data. So we definitely, I think that would be a good starting point in terms of enrollment projections and space requirements. So we definitely can provide that data.
Yep, I'll get I think I might be able to add you to this. If not, I'll get Jay to get you and team access.
I just checked, I've received nothing.
Same.
Okay.
I got it.
I think it might be best to reach out to Jason directly. And then that way you can make sure you get access immediately versus going through somebody. But if to start tonight, if anybody that has not received this, send me an email. I'll consolidate at least one list to start and get Jay a number of names that do not have this yet.
I did receive both.
I received them each.
I received them.
Okay, so who so far has not? Mark, Stephanie.
I have not.
I have not.
All right, I covered up my screen in a second here. Greg hasn't.
I don't know because I've been at this conference today, so.
Okay.
I haven't either, Tim.
Rebecca.
That was Becky Pellegrino.
Okay. I think I have everybody here.
And I have not, Laura Kaufman.
Okay, I'll send Jay a message and make sure that everybody gets added to this. Or if I'll see if I can do it myself after the meeting ends. Okay, so that's where we're going to be working. Step 1 is making sure everybody has access, and then we can go from there. The V3 document will be the one that we start with. I'm going to rename it V4, just so we can always go back to V3, and we have a fresh spot to start working off of. So you can look for that to change to V4, and then that'll be where we start, and that'll just be the live document that we start to bring forward. Any questions on that part of how we're trying to organize this, or any concerns about this way of organization for document keeping?
No.
Okay. Let's hope it works. There's a lot of documents here. next piece that we need to do is I'll pull up the document that we're starting off with, but we need to figure out how we're going to split up into groups. Because what I think we need to do is either have a couple smaller working groups or a couple people say that they're going to own aspects of this. And then we start to kind of break up the workload with those columns of people. So let me pull this back up here. Okay, so right now we have the A through G options and the placeholder kind of fill in information, which I'll start to delete as we start to populate real data into here. But pretty much we have our options of things. The new 4th-grade school, that is the this one should be the easiest one for us to start to populate into because it was the most built out option before. We can also look at this and question anything along the way. Operational savings is one thing I think that we should definitely have laid out inside here and just double check as we go through it. That's probably the number one thing from the document that we have the opportunity to continue to look at from that particular option. But I think everything else is very valid. It's been very well vetted. Greg and team have done a good job at that layer across there. So now we get to decide if anybody has something they really feel passionate about. So Gene, I'm going to put you in a spot. I know that B here is something you spent a lot of time on before. So I don't know if you have a running start here that you think you could tackle that row, or if there's a different way that you'd like to maybe think about this.
I will give it a try. Sure.
So I think right now it might make sense if we just kind of pick an option and start to lay it out. An A, B, C, or D. Does anybody have opinions about that? Looking into it that way? Do we want to split up columns instead? Do we want to do a combination of two?
So is your thought to start out with B with everybody working on it and then gravitating to subcommittees after that?
No, I think that we have a large voting population here, so we won't meet quorums if a couple of us decide to partner up and work on a section together. So if Gene wants to lead row B, and I'm saying row of all the columns that are within that, then more than one person could work on that together, and then at our next meeting we would kind of come back and we could talk about what's in there and go from there. But I think that there's enough of us that have interest in different ones of these and capability that we could start to fill this in somewhat conveniently.
Well, I'd like to volunteer to be on the subcommittee with Gene.
Okay, so that both of you, I'm going to just put your names here.
I feel like Beth and I could likely tackle column L. Educational considerations.
Column L. Okay.
Sorry to sign you up for that, Beth.
That's all right, Kelly.
And you guys can work with Laura.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have 4. See, that one's been vetted by advisory before. So Eric, I'm going to put your name on that list and my name on that list because I have looked into this one before. And I think that there's a lot of information already exists today for this one.
You remember roughly when, Tim, that work was done?
Very, very late in the process because that's all the numbers Andrew Pfaff built the no calculator off of. So there's a lot of information that I know I reviewed with Andrew on that one. I think D will come with some of the information I asked you about, Greg, about the grades and space. So that one will start to fill in after the school team can kind of have time to fill in the space questions that I was asking you about. So for now, I'll put you and I on that one, just because I think that there's a start there. And we can leave some of these just kind of back burner for a little bit too, if we want to put more emphasis on some of them to get them off the ground, and we can pick them back up at our next meeting.
I've got about 5 minutes before I need to leave. I'm sorry, this came up unexpected.
So to maybe ask a dumb question.
Yeah.
But as we look at these options, like what are the data sources, unless the data already exists and it's really just a data gathering exercise, like where do you go to start building this out?
Yeah, so the NERI building website has a lot of this information on it from ending points. So the ending of the 12 options down to 3, there was a lot of information about like cost per square foot at that moment. Then those options fell off about a year and a half before town meeting. I think that was what time, how much earlier was a 12 to 3 split? That was almost 2 years before town meeting.
I believe it was a year, Tim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
regardless, I mean, I think that the core point I'm getting at is, so basically what we're doing is searching the archives and refreshing refreshing the knowledge base of what was done. And then from there,
Exactly.
figure out where we're going to go.
Exactly. Yep. I was doing some work on the back end. I'm hoping that I was using an AI to take all of the 85 documents I was handed and try to populate it into this with some kind of reference to where it was coming from. It was doing well at it, but it's taking about 12 hours to compile. And then it ran into an error, and then it crashed, and then I had to start over. So I was expecting to have something a little bit further along for this to maybe see where we could start with it. But all those documents have information within them. One of them has a ad reno cost per square foot number. What sticks in my mind is an 812.50 cents per square foot. There was another one that was a little bit higher than that, I believe. So there's a lot of data within those documents that have starting points of like what it would cost to do one of these. Andrew Pfaff had some math about multipliers. I can't remember the exact phrasing, but a 1.5 multiplier that includes hallways and bathrooms that gets added to your square foot number when you're calculating based upon this. Greg, I'm sure you have more of an opinion here, so and your hands up, so I'll let you take the floor.
Not an opinion, just if you have your working groups and people are looking for data, we have a pretty good handle on where the data can be found, so we can point you to the right document or a section of the website.
So here's another question, maybe dumb. Should someone be from the school district be on the educational considerations with Kelly, Laura, and me? Working group?
Makes sense to me.
Do you
Yeah.
mean do you mean something else someone else in addition to me, since I'm coming from the school committee perspective?
No, I'm saying someone from the district administration.
Gotcha.
I guess the question is, how are you going to use ex officios? Do you want us to we're happy to help with all of these different scenarios and provide data and our expertise. So I think we're willing to serve as a resource. And yes, there's a lot of these options that we have information that we can provide and, point people in the right direction. But yes, educational considerations, we can definitely have expertise work with you, Beth and Kelly.
I just think it's important that central office has more of a voice in, as we move into this new committee, and that we hear more from you.
Mark, you have your hand up.
Yeah, just a comment, and Laura and Greg might pipe in. I think we need to be cognizant that the school committee is currently doing and making an effort on a lot of fronts with the schools, which may affect some of the data we're basically putting into this site. And if it's policy driven, it should be in the data that we're putting in here. So I guess maybe it's even just a standing, depending on how often we meet, just a standing item on the agenda that we get reported back from the school committee, their current reporting, their current policy changes, the status of some of the work they're doing now, so that the data is tied into what the school committee's doing.
That's a good point. I think, Beth, that's for you to on the next agenda.
I got you. I just wrote it down. I unfortunately have to leave. So logistically, Kelly and Laura, how do you want to meet as a working group next?
We can coordinate over email if that works for you.
That would work, and I'm willing to share my phone number with both of you as well.
Absolutely.
Sounds great. Same.
All right. Again, my apologies about this.
Thanks, Beth.
Did not expect it. So have a good rest of your night, everybody.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.
Okay. Mark, you have a wealth of knowledge from what you've done before. Is there a prickly spot that's not as golden here that you might be able to do faster than somebody else?
Well, I can always be a resource to point where documents are, and just to give you, if the best source is to go into any of the MSBA submissions, and they're absolutely huge files. But those submissions, and one of them was 480 pages long, it includes a lot of the real detailed data in it, and then you can physically dig down deeper and get that data when it was generated. I mean, earlier tonight I pulled up something off the Neary building site, which was just a quick summary of all the costing of the various proposals when we got it down to 6, I think. I am probably, I'm sure I'm going to be dragged into any of them to pull up old information and help. But I think the biggest area that we don't have a lot of information on is any of the construction data, and any of the land data associated with Finn School. So there's 3 here that I should, my best use is helping derive that construction data. And we're going to be hard pressed to get some decent numbers at Finn. And I've already started personally digging into the land issues at Finn. So you could put my name down on any one of those 3. And I think that's where the data is weak.
So, Mark, I'm going to put your name down on F as well, which is
Yep.
which was the export of that last project, because you probably know it best on where everything is for the numbers and everything to fill this in.
Yep.
I think the new build we're safe. That one, G, that one should come kind of later once we get more numbers that we're starting with the ad reno and whatnot. I think A, we should have at a high level, Greg. I know that there's a lot of cost to that one that we really should point out from the beginning to see if we need to go any further. We're missing science labs. We're missing some of the PE structures that are there in the other school. You know the details of that one, but I think we should list that out up front. We may not want to dive deep into that option for those reasons.
I think that's a good strategy.
And then I think E is a iteration of C. So I think that we can kind of let C get populated first, and we're circle back to E after and see what's being missed and do an additional plus up. I think some of the only things missed are from the initial one from C that the no vote had is a fire suppression system to go to E, but I could be wrong on what that option is. Kelly?
So I know we kind of touched on it earlier, but I'm wondering when it might be appropriate to add another item in line A. Just as we're pricing things out, it's related to the B in terms of Trotter serving 5 to 8. I'm wondering if we could also price out if we were to expand Trotter in some way to accommodate that as another option.
As in the footprint of Trotter isn't sufficient?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think that it's wrong to put it in now, but I think that we might be better served to fill it in as it stands, figure out what the square footage needs would be insufficient, and then maybe break it into two pieces there if it's seen as the footprint can't handle it. Because I think that initial thought for B is the footprint of the school would be able to handle that grade configuration today. And I think assuming that it would need to be expanded might be a little bit premature, but that's just my initial thought.
Okay, I'm not sure if anyone from like the previous committee has some more information on what that would look like, even if it was square footage. Does that mean any special ed programs are losing space? Are specials moving on carts? I'm just curious if anyone could speak to that.
So through the chair, so the part of the tasks that the school committee charged us to work on are implications for each of these educational implications, advantages and disadvantages, each of these models. So Kelly, yes, we, working in concert with the educational consideration team, we will be able to provide insight and also map it out to square footage. So that is something we're working on and we'll partner on in conjunction with the school committee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Greg, is what I said accurate? We'll leave it kind of stand like this and split it if we need to, or add to it.
I think the first question is there space, to meet the programmatic needs. So answering that question first, Tim, I agree, is the first part of the decision tree. And then if there isn't space for the programmatic implications, then what space would we need? And then from there would be, what would an addition look like? Is it a 5,000 square foot addition, a 20,000? I think you would then get your data around what an addition potentially could look like.
Okay, perfect.
Greg, if we needed information, we go through your office. Is that the protocol we should follow, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you need information, Gene, you can any committee member can just email me and just CC the chair of the school committee, just so that the chair is always in the know of the work that's being done. And then, one of the things I like where, Tim, you put under educational considerations, the school admin, because the best people to help you might not be the ex officios that are on this committee. It might be other resources within our leadership team that you need access to.
There are, as far as Trotter, the underlying committee didn't do anything with Trotter. That wasn't part of our role. Woodward, there is a ton of information in there on the earlier information where we had additions, several of them that are conceptually outlined and pricing was done at some point. But Trotter wasn't on it. There won't be any information on the septic systems, either at Trotter or Finn. So they're the two schools that the committee really didn't do much. The only thing we did down in Finn was when we figured out the transition period where the kids would be moving out of Neary during construction. We figured out how that grade would align and get into Finn with the need of portable classrooms. But that's the extent down in Finn that we did. There is information that was done by Jason's committee, totally separate committee that did some studies when they were looking at it for a building use, town use.
Community center.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was on that committee.
yeah, and then there were a lot of floor plans. In fact, I was going to call Jason and see if he had a set of the old construction plans, the last set for Neary, because that'll tell me a lot. But there might be some, at least layout information in that school that your committee did. But other than that, we didn't do much at all.
The only layout things that we did during that time was about reconfiguring the front part of the building to fit the senior center into it.
Right.
It wasn't anything besides looking at some basic structural components of the building in that area.
So Tim, one note for, let me look at this, for C and E, which will be connected. I think that one of the questions is what level of investment in those upgrades for C will trip code compliance, and then you would be immediately moving into E, which is basically renovation of Neary. So just there's a calculation. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I would definitely start there, and we can give you some of the, like, what's a roof cost?
Yeah, it's I do know it's a 30% running 36 months on the last time I looked at it. Roof and windows do not count. So
Correct.
those are exempt from that investment. But the rest of it would have to be within that running 36 months and at an off the assessed value, which I don't know the current assessed value of that building, but we'd have to look at that. But you're right.
And the roof and windows are exempt, but when you do another project inside, let's say it is counted toward the overall 36% of tripping that compliance.
Yeah, and I know that there's certain things that you do if you touch a whole area, you have to bring that area up. So I think I think when I read this, if you replace a ceiling, you might have like a group of ceilings. You'd have to do sprinklers at that point because you've opened up the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just fixing a ceiling, then you're still outside of it.
Yep.
I can give you, there is I have a copy of it. I can scan it and get it out. It's really too deep in the documents. It was done when the architects were looking at Neary and on what code issues would be triggered. There's another whole set of code issues on the fire side that got triggered by all sorts of stuff. And this report goes to that, and it gets into hallway lengths, it gets into a host of things. And what you just said triggered me to think of it. It gets into, if you renovate even a small portion of it, particularly in the ceilings, it triggers a number of things. I'll get you a copy of that report. It was a specific consultant hired by the architect to enlighten them to what all those issues are. And that's not even assessed value, doesn't even apply. It had a different calculation.
Yeah.
Your eyes will glaze over reading it.
Okay, I think that we have this somewhat pretty well divvied up. Steve, and do you have anything on here that you have an interest in tagging yourself into or helping with?
Yeah, I could, the life expectant or J.
I'm thinking about column I, Greg. I don't know how we would maybe think about timeframes of these options. I think that's something we'll probably have to do like as a formula later, looking at how it meets the educational vision and how everything else, like the building lifespan of whatever that level of option leads into, and then figure out like what the two things together equal into a lifespan.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Tim? Yeah, I don't know if it's appropriate now, but the Neary Building Committee was gonna do portables at Woodward and Finn and not do anything at Trotter. And that's why I'm advocating for row H to do that exact thing, except the additions wouldn't be portable anymore. Is that appropriate now, or?
I think it's appropriate now. I mean, we can definitely, I just typed it up into this. I don't know a better way of phrasing it, but quickly temporary additions as permanent.
Well, it's just a modification of B and changing Woodward to 3 to 5 and keeping Trotter at 6, 7, 8.
I know that as part of this, there was a lot of program classrooms were taken away to make that work temporarily for 2 years. So I don't know if a permanent solution would be just simply the trailer size, but I think we can definitely look at it within this, see if there's enough square footage on the lot to build a permanent addition. I do remember about Woodward, it was 2 trailers added, but I think when I got into the weeds, there was 6 program classrooms that were taken away, arts or something like that, some
Right.
number around 6.
Right. Well, I just an opinion. I think some rooms, not quote classrooms, could satisfy some of the programming needs so that the physical square footage might not be as much as adding pure classrooms if there were permanent additions put on. That's a detail clearly, but it's something that we need to talk to the school committee about. But I think having H would satisfy some people that are not happy about fifth grade going into Trotter.
Okay, I'm happy to rewrite this, or we can rewrite this as we work on it, but I got the context of what your point is written down,
Yeah,
so we can find a better description for it.
Sure.
I think you just volunteered yourself for this one too, Howard. So how do we feel about this as working groups for, I don't know, you guys want to try to meet back up second week of August? sometime around there to give ourselves 2 to 3 weeks to go through this?
Yeah, I mean, that works for me. We can even do, what's 2 weeks from today? I don't know if that's feasible for people.
That would be around the 5th.
I would push it out a week. I think we need more time.
I guess I have a question. Are we going to continue to meet on Zoom only?
That's something we can decide. I mean, we have the option to do Zoom only, we have the option to do hybrid. If we do hybrid, we just have to make sure we can get a room that we can physically locate ourselves in.
Okay.
So we're up against a lot more scheduling conflicts at that point.
Okay.
So is there a best day? We're Tuesday currently. Is there any hard days that people say don't pick this day or that day of the week? No, everybody's fairly open.
Tuesdays are good for me.
So the 12th, is that a viable date?
I have select board office hours 6 to 7 that day.
Okay.
So if we want to do at 7, I'd be happy to meet later. I just can't do 6 to 7, obviously.
7 works for me.
7 works for me too.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay, so 7 p.m. on the 12th.
Tim, I've worked on the other schools, but it was a long time ago. Is there any thought of having walkthroughs of the schools?
I would
other
love
than-
that.
I mean, I think that we definitely should. I think that anybody that hasn't been in these buildings, it's worth a tour. So Greg, how would you think about maybe trying to get the committee an opportunity to tour the buildings? Would we want to do them all in one night and try to hit all the buildings one after another? Would we do better trying to split it up?
If you can send me some times, we can schedule a windows of time people can tour the buildings. Just a general note that we are trying to get prepared for the opening of school. So there's a lot of cleaning and preparation going on in the next 4 weeks, but we can make it work.
What do you think the best way to do it?
I'd rather do it all at once. Like we can go through all the schools. That way, the people power that we need to conduct the tours, we can kind of contain their time.
Do we think 2 hours to hit up the 3 schools? Or do we got Finn, Troutier, Woodward, and I guess we still should tour near it another time if anybody hasn't.
Yeah, maybe 2 hours for 2 school tours. So if we separated 2 and 2,
So try to do 2 different days.
Yeah, 2 hours for 2 schools.
Okay. Do we want to try to pick a date to do these tours? I think we want to try to do it within the next. We would probably want to do it before our next meeting, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Just Tim, I do need to coordinate with the custodial team because they're waxing, and so if I can send you some dates in the next day or 2, and then
let's do it that way.
And then Tim, regarding vacation time and just the inability to be here physically, I think, again, we don't have to go through it on the call, but I'd suggest to send you an email, say, hey, I hate to have you be, or someone, just to make sure the alignment on schedules, because I'm sure, I mean, I've got vacation time coming in August, which is going to conflict.
Yep. I have some of my own work obligations
too as well. So however you want to handle that, maybe easier just to send an email to somebody to then align the calendar, just trying to do it on the call.
Yeah.
If there's going to be more than 4 of us, we have to have a meeting.
We don't have to actually have a meeting. What we can do is just an information only gathering. We just can't deliberate while we walk through.
Okay.
I
as
think
long as-
building tours are exempt from,
Okay,
so.
Yeah, you just can't talk while we're walking through. You just have to see the information. Okay, so Greg, I'll wait for you to come back. I'll help coordinate that one.
Okay.
And I'll talk with Beth about it when she's back available.
I have one last thought, and it's communication. I feel as though doing everything online doesn't work for the total population of the town. And I'm open for other suggestions. In previous committees, when we didn't have Zoom meetings and things of that nature, it was a little more obvious how we could deal with it. But now it's a new era. But I think there are still quite a few people in town that don't have a clue what Zoom even is, and they certainly don't understand web pages. So being a senior myself, written pages are pretty good if they're executive summaries.
I think the next meeting being a Tuesday without a select board meeting the same night, we probably can get the McAuliffe room and make this a hybrid meeting. Mark, I know you don't see the schedule off the top of your head, but do you think there's any problem with us doing that?
So I'd have to take a look and see what's available, but we can check on that first thing tomorrow.
Okay, so we could at least start with that next meeting being a hybrid meeting.
That'd be great.
And then I think communication of this, I think we should bring back up at the next meeting. We're so early with where we're starting with this one. I think that we don't really have anything worth anything consolidated worth sharing quite yet. So I don't think we necessarily have that problem yet about sharing. But as we start to move a little bit further forward, I think we should bring that back up and have a discussion about that going forward.
Thank you.
And I would like to recommend, I do think it's valuable meeting in person, but I would like to keep the door open to have all meetings hybrid, given the fact that people with children and children in the district, this is a tough time of night to be leaving. So if we could keep all meetings hybrid, that would be great. Then we can kind of check both boxes.
That is my intention as well. So perfect. So that covers that piece. Anybody else have anything else to discuss right now? The last piece I have on the agenda is about our consultant time remaining. So we still have a little bit of money left for consultants. My initial thought is we have a lot of information within these documents that we can start off with. I think that we should just be clear about what numbers we're pulling, and if it's the number, I'm going to just rattle it again. I don't think it's exactly right, but $819.50 a square foot for ad reno. We should just make sure we know that that's the number that we pulled. I think at the end of the day, we should ask the consultant to review the final kind of matrix and see if they have any suggestions on things that we pulled in the wrong spot or the wrong piece of information from. I think that's our best use of their time. And if we have any roadblocks in any areas, have them help us solve those roadblocks along the way, because we don't have a lot of time, but we have a little bit left. So I think we have to do the heavy lifting to put it together and then ask for a final pass.
Is it possible to also ask people to, I don't know if it's either link or cite where the information was gathered from,
Yeah.
so that we can, go back and refer to it rather than go back and do all the same work again?
Exactly. The big ask that I said before in the charge is that whatever it's coming from, and that's why I was really trying hard to organize this folder structure. I'm going to pull it back up here.
And Tim, you said you emailed the link to the OneDrive, is that right?
Jason Montillo should have sent it out earlier, so look for an email from Jason.
Okay.
But if we look at this longer document here, theoretically, all the documents that the NBC had ended up into this, or at least most of them that were ending points ended up into this. So as we go through it, there's names on everything. So if we can just link back to where you got it from, and if there's a page number, put a page number down. That's the goal, is everything's annotated back to where the source material is.
Right.
So we can follow this, and anybody public can follow this. This spreadsheet is going to be large. It's going to be a lot of information, and honestly, it's not a problem that we have today. When we're done at the end of our term, we can see if we simplify it. But today, that's not a problem. The bigger, the better. The more information, the more detailed. I think that we just need to get it into the document, and we can deal with cleaning it up at the end.
Okay.
Great. So if anybody has anything else, now's a good time. Otherwise, I think we can adjourn today and pick this back up in our smaller groups.
Two,
Okay.
two quick comments.
Yep.
We should confirm it through the school department. The last report that the finance committee did shows that we have about just under 20,000 left, 19,681. However, it's broken up into 4 categories. And I think it's a selectman issue that the old committee never, I don't know how it gets done, where the money goes, how it gets used. We need to look at the underlying contract of the 2 consultants. I'm not sure there's any money left in their side of the business. I think in Skanska, who was the project manager, there's $160 left. In the architect, 800 left. In the architects, there's 800. The bulk of it was in site and environmental. So somehow I think the selectman or somebody needs to determine whether we can use the funds and how best to use the funds. And we may have to go back to the consultants and at least get an hourly rate or something, because I think their contracts are complete until technically we get a town meeting vote. And then we proceed further. But the 2 consultants are pretty much done. And when we get to the stage on the consultants, the best thing we did with the Neary building committee is we really restricted who could direct access those consultants. Otherwise, their budget goes totally out of whack because they're spending time answering people's questions.
Yeah.
I often would bring issues up at a meeting and ask for permission to go back to the consultants and get plans revised or whatever else. So just when we get to that stage that we're going to bring the consultants back, we just need to be careful that we don't overspend. So there's just some clarifications as to how we best spend that money.
Mark Purple, is that something that you can check into and find out? Because I believe the number is closer to 12 grand from what I remember Kathy mentioning.
Yeah, I could take a look into that and see what we have available and what can be used.
Okay, and I think for now, let's have this go through the chair and myself to approve the spending of this for anything we're going to go back to, just so it's clear.
The other comment, and I just lost it. It'll come to me in a minute. You can go on.
I think we're near adjournment, so hopefully it comes quick.
Oh, the other thing is we always allowed in our meetings, even if they were Zoom, to have the public, we followed pretty much what the selectmen do. There were 4 pieces to our agenda that weren't here tonight. Public comment would quickly set the next meeting date, which we did. Other business, which we just did, and then we would adjourn. But the key to it is we would let the public have a chance to make comments, opine, but we didn't answer. We didn't get into any lengthy discussion, and if it was an issue, we may put it on the next agenda. So knowing that there were probably a lot of people listening tonight, because it wasn't on the agenda, I said to them, you won't be able to comment. So we do need to allow them to comment and have that transparency on future meetings.
Yeah, I think we can talk to Beth about it now that she'll be appointing the agendas. But since we didn't have it tonight, we're not going to have that session today.
Correct.
If anybody in the public has comments, they can feel free to reach out to us. We have town emails are set up. Everything's available now. So happy to hear it. But I think we need to get going a little bit further, start to put some stuff in, get our feet underneath us with the documents we're working with, and then start to hear the information that people have that they want us to look further into. Because right now everybody's trying to get off the ground. And I want to give everybody the opportunity to dive in and start to get their feet underneath them as we start to build this out. So that being said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Excellent. We'll have to do a roll call vote. So Gene,
yes.
Tim, I'm an aye. Mark,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Did I miss anybody? Sorry, my screen's messed up if I did. I believe that's everybody. So everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Right.